Let me bring in our guest. Hemant Attri is joining us, senior journalist. Mahima Singh is spokesperson of the Congress Party. Arun Anand will also be joining us, author and columnist. And Aparajita Sarangi is national spokesperson of the BJP. We also have our reporters. Arun Dhanta will be joining us live from Rajghat as well. Hemant Attri, let me... all right, let's start with the political spokespersons. Let's talk to Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP. Aparajita Sarangi, the 5 pledges or the Panch Pran that the Prime Minister has given, and the first one, by 2047, to make India a developed nation, a Viksit Bharat by 2047, because nothing less than that will do. Your first thoughts, ma'am. Aparajita Sarangi, let me start with you, ma'am. The 5 pledges or the Panch Pran that the Prime Minister has given to the nation from the ramparts of the Red Fort on the 75th anniversary of India's independence. Pledge number 1, to make India a developed nation by 2047. I want your first thoughts on that, ma'am.
A very good morning, and I convey my greetings to each one of you who is watching this television channel. It's a great day for all of us, and we have just heard our Honorable Prime Minister. I think Honorable Prime Minister's address to the nation has been highly significant because he has kind of laid out the plan of the next 25 years for our nation. And the first and foremost thing that he talked of was developed India vision by 2047. In fact, Prime Minister has been talking of Amrit Kal. We are going through Amrit Kal, 75 years of independence. We have completed today, and here we have 25 years. So what do we do? Where do we go? So he wants India to be one of the developed nations, not a developing nation. And for that matter, he has talked of various sectors wherein we need to work together and we need to take everybody along. He has focused on Jai Anusandhan, Jai Research. So I think he has also been talking about the focus on digital technology. He has been talking about everybody's efforts. Everybody has to effort. And, you know, in his entire speech, he has put 2 segments of society at the center. One is youth and the other is women.
Correct.
Third, and very important, he has never forgotten the focus that his government has been putting on Shoshit, Vanchit, Pidit, Adivasi. I think this is something which is in line with Antyodaya, the backbone of all the efforts of Bharatiya Janata Party and the government of Prime Minister Modi. And Prime Minister Modi's speech has infused a kind of tremendous enthusiasm and also given a lot of confidence to all those who are struggling for bringing India up. He has spoken against Bhashtachar. He has spoken against Vanshvad. So I think his speech stands out, and all of us need to hear his speech very carefully and try to imbibe the various...
Let me go to Mahima Singh of the Congress Party, because the Prime Minister, apart from the Panch Pran, also talked about 2 social ills, not just political ills, but social ills that he wants to get rid of. Number 1, a fight against Bhashtachar or corruption, which he says is at a decisive moment today. It is a war against corruption. It's at a decisive moment today. And number 2, this is something, again, that he's touched upon in the past as well, the fight against Parivarwad and Chacha and Bhatijawad. Not just dynastic politics, he clarified that, not just dynastic politics, but against the very idea of nepotism in any field, whether it is in films or in sports or in any other chosen sphere of influence. The idea that if you are somebody, then you have an entitlement or you have a shortcut to success, that needs to go. I want your thoughts on both of those.
Jai Hind, Mr. Jacob, and a very happy Independence Day to my countrymen, to my fellow citizens today. It is indeed a moment of pride for all of us from the point when our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru ji, came out and, said the historical speech, uttered the historical words of the tryst with destiny. Today, we are at a juncture where we have accomplished 75 successful years of being a democratic nation. However, it has been in a jeopardy for the past 8 years, and that's known to the world and to everybody. And it is an unfortunate occasion that I'm having to speak about it on the Independence Day, when we should have been celebrating, the accomplishments of our founding fathers, of which the Prime Minister did not make the slightest of mention. He did say that I'm thankful to the founding fathers of the Constitution, but the very Constitution that we see being undermined every single day in this country. You just talked about, the two very pertinent points that the Prime Minister said, in his speech.
Yeah.
You talked about, let me first take up the dynasty, tradition that he points to. And if we start talking about that, let's start with Amit Shah and Jay Shah. We know how Jay Shah's assets have multiplied in the past so many years. Let's talk about Rajnath Singh Ji and Pankaj Singh Ji, his son, who's also taken into his steps into the politics. And then there's a long list to go on with, and I would not like to waste this full occasion of, the
Yes.
75 years of completion of our independence.
I think on a day like this, we can keep the politics aside, at least temporarily. I think let's look at it as more social ills rather than, political ills. I also want to go across, before I go to Arun Anand and to Hemant Atri. My colleague Arun Dhanta is also standing by, but I want to play out. All right, let's go to Arun Dhanta first. Arun is there at the Red Fort. You've heard the Prime Minister's speech. He's given the Panchapran, or the 5 pledges. He's also talked about the fight against Bhrishtachar or corruption. He's talked about the fight against dynastic politics and nepotism. He's also talked about treating women as equal citizens, about gender justice, about the fight against misogyny, as it were. What were the key takeaways, and what are people there? How have they received, the audience, the live audience that was watching and listening to the Prime Minister, how have they received his speech?
Well, that's right, Zaka. Prime Minister Modi touched all the aspects, and it was very much visible, while Prime Minister Modi was speaking, the way a crowd was giving him a round of applause every time when he was speaking about some achievement which, government has done or what they are planning to do. In fact, Prime Minister Modi started his speech with thanking all those freedom fighters who had given their lives for the independence of the country, and also remembered yesterday when the entire country observed that, remembrance of the partition day, where he also thanked everyone to participating in this program, where lakhs of people have lost their lives and many families have lost their loved one and dear ones. And Prime Minister Modi, in fact, gave a clear message and signal to everyone that now we have to look for upcoming 25 years, because that's the target. We have touched upon the Amrit Kal, and 25 years is going to be very, very crucial. And therefore, the youth will have to play a huge role in this, where Prime Minister Modi said that in 25 years we want to be in the developed countries, and also the participation of women. That is something which is very, very important. He said, the investment on creating infrastructure for women, that is something which will give us returns later on. And also, Prime Minister Modi talks about the corruption and the Parivarvad, not only in politics but in various other institutions. These are the things which are, keeping us behind. These are the things which needs to change, and therefore we can think of achieving that target which Prime Minister Modi set from the ramparts of Red Fort to achieve in next 25 years. So the golden era has started, and now it is up to the people of this country, and therefore he sought the support of the public that along with them we can achieve this target, and by the end of 100 years of our independence we'll have this target.
All right.